So we're going to be looking at a restorative posture called Viparita Karani Mudra, and often referred to as the great rejuvenator. It's known to really refresh the system. And we're going to use as few props as possible so that it's something that might be possible to do at home. First thing to do is a legs up the wall pose. First thing to do is to get the short edge of the mat against the wall, to sit sideways on as Kara's doing, very close to the skirting board, almost slightly tipping the left side of the pelvis up the wall slightly. Good. And then leaning back on the hands, you can pivot onto the back of the pelvis and swivel the legs around, and you should end up pretty much, without too much trouble, on the centre of your mat. And then we can lie down. Good. It's important just to take a pause here and just check how things are in the spine. You don't want to be too far away from the wall in case there's a pull on the back of the knees. And in the very simplest of terms, this can be a very refreshing pose at the end of the day, end of a regular day or at the end of a travelling day. Now, to improve the qualities of the pose, I'm going to ask Kara just to bend the knees and bring the feet to the wall and lift the pelvis, and we're going to slide a bolster underneath the back of the low ribs and waist, and then Kara's going to lower her pelvis onto the bolster. You don't need to use a bolster, you can use rolled up firm blankets, or possibly even a sleeping bag if it's well rolled and not too lumpy. How's that feeling? Great, good. So if this is feeling okay, then Kara's going to straighten her legs now. If it's not feeling okay, you just take the time to shift around until the bolster feels just right. And you should feel a slight elevation in the pelvis, a slight sweeping curve through the spine, and an ability just to let the weight of the legs fall into the wall. We're going to let the arms just fall away from the rib cage, palms turning up. And then to sustain the comfort of the pose for a longer duration, we're just going to put a little bit of support under the neck. So I'm just going to pivot around here for a moment, and just going to lift Kara's head and ponytail, and just slip this in towards the top of the shoulders, and then bring the head back down in a central place. So the back of the neck has support and the weight of the brain has support. Okay. And then, the cherry on the cake, if you happen to have an eye bag, is to shape the grains into the centre, and then to place the eye bag just across the bridge of the nose, so it's just coming down, Kara. And we let the weight of the grains just fall into the eye sockets. And there, we're in place. Now, Viparita Karani Mudra can be held, you might want to hold anything from 5 to 10 minutes, and it's very well known for refreshing the vascular systems of the body. So there's a nice easy venous return back to the heart. There's a nice easy journey for the lymphatic system back to the drainage centres under the collarbones. There's also a slight inversion as we lift the pelvis just a little higher than the heart. And it's nice to be able to acknowledge the quietening of the head glands as well. So the deep glands of the pituitary and pineal settle back into the brain and rest. And there's nothing more to do. When the timing feels right to come out, then we need to be logical about the exits, that we don't jolt the system again. So the first thing to do would probably be to bend the knees and bring the feet flat onto the wall, to get a little push from the feet to lift the pelvis, and then slide out your support, lowering the pelvis to the floor, possibly straightening out the legs again, and it can feel a little bit like a melting sensation or the settling into a hole in the ground. So the descent is gradual. And then from there, when we're ready to completely come up, it might be a good idea to remove the eye bag. Would you like to do that, Cara? Keeping the eyes closed. And then we're going to bend the knees in towards the body. And if you're not sure whether you have clearance, you could crack the eyes open and peek. Otherwise, I'm going to ask Cara just to roll to one side And using her arms, gather them under the head so the neck is still supported. And then to pause for a breath or two before lifting the spine and the head back to vertical. And coming up, pausing to take the time to let things settle into a more familiar place.